Queen here, Life After Money. On the last video I talked about agency work, and I was doing that for about 3 years or so, and I was getting a little bit bored with it because it was becoming repetitive, and as I've said before, once I've learnt how to do something I'm bored, so I have to move on. And I was also finding that I was given jobs that other drivers didn't want to do. So they were the dirty jobs with the older trucks, and they wanted fancy new shiny trucks, so I had to do the dirty jobs. And I thought, no, I'm going to go elsewhere. So what I did was go back to buses and coaches. I went back to Stevenson's of Uttoxeter, and they gave me a job, and then I was doing all kinds of work, driving buses and coaches again all over the country. And I just need variety, you see. I can't just do the same old all the time. But I'll tell you a couple of stories about the buses and coaches. We used to do beer cellar trips to the Sheffield beer cellar, and we'd take a load of people, 53-seater coaches, and drop them off at the beer cellar. We couldn't park outside, and there were lots of other coaches from different companies, and we had to go to the park and then come back later on all at the same time, because they threw everybody out at the same time. It wasn't a particularly late finish, it was about 11 o'clock, but of course there must be 20 coaches lined up along the side of the road, and everybody comes out at the same time. Well, you can guess, it was like pandemonium, because they'd all had a few too many, and they couldn't find their own coaches, and so we just had to try and get them sorted out and get the passengers back on the coach again. So anyway, one chap, he didn't want to get on, one young lad, he didn't want to get on because he couldn't find his girlfriend. And I said, well, if you don't get on in a minute, I'm going to go without you. So luckily his girlfriend did turn up, and they did make it onto the coach. But we set off out of Sheffield down the A630, the Sheffield Parkway, dual carriageway. Well, what happens 10 minutes after you get going? Somebody wants to go to the toilet. Oh dear. And I said, well, there are no toilets. I'm afraid it's just going to have to be a lay-by. So I pulled in the lay-by, they all trooped off, and I'm sat waiting, and they all trooped back again. And I said, right, everybody on? Yes, driver, off you go. So I set off, and then a voice shouts up, you've left one behind. Oh my goodness me. So up to the next interchange, to the roundabout, turn round, come back, and there is this girl wandering about in the road. I had to stop, pick her up, obviously. So it was a bit of a hassle, to be honest. After dropping them all off at the end, I went back to the depot, and then I had to get them up and book it out because they'd made such a mess on the floor in the coach. And so yeah, that was probably not a very nice job to do. Well, I used to take the shoppers bus to Ashbourne in Derbyshire, and it was a really knackered old single decker little one, and no heating in it. So I took them there, and I had to sit and wait in the bus station in winter with no heating. I'd sit there for about 2 hours while they did the shopping. Well, I was taking a blanket with me and a hot water bottle with me, and to try and keep myself warm. Can you imagine a driver doing that today? No. But that's what I did. Yeah, private hire I did, school buses I did, One little story about a school bus. It was the last day of the school term, just before Christmas, and the snow had been falling all day, and the route was round a little country lanes just in South Derbyshire, and I had to drop the children off more or less at their house because they lived at farms and villages. So it was dark, of course. It was a single decker, a little old one, and up ahead I could see headlights of a vehicle coming towards us, and I thought, oh dear, the road is narrow, how are we going to pass each other? So I eased off, I started braking, and nothing happened because I was going downhill and there was nowhere to go, and the bus was sliding down the hill. As we got closer, I saw that it was a lorry stopped in the bottom, and I thought, I really cannot crash into the front of that lorry. So I steered the bus into the side, so it was like built up grass verges and hedges each side. So I just steered it to the side and stopped before I hit the lorry. Anyway, the bus was then stuck, so got all the kids out. There was only about 10 left anyway, so we all set off. I could see lights just ahead of the farmhouse, so we got into the farmhouse, and I asked the owners, could you please let these children ring their parents because the parents now need to come and pick them up. Anyway, I rang my boss and said, I've got the bus stuck, I really can't get it out. And they sent somebody, a man, who came out with all the equipment needed to pull me out. I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't very funny at the time. Anyway, after a while of the buses and coaches, I'm thinking, I want to go back to lorry driving, because in those days you could actually change jobs, because there were jobs to go to. So I went to British Road Services then, and they gave me a job. They got contracts for different companies, and I went on to the Taunton cider contract, and it was a Leyland truck, and I would sometimes go out in the morning and deliver a load of Taunton cider, either barrels or bottles, and deliver them up to the northeast. Or I might do nights, so I might start at 6 p.m. in the evening and take a load of empty barrels or empty bottles down south, M5 down to Taunton, and swap trailers in Taunton and bring the full load back then for the dayman to take on. That was okay actually, I didn't mind that. That was quite an easy job to do nights. And there's my cat. Are you off, pussycat? Oh, yes, yes. So, Taunton cider, and they also had a job with a firm in Derby called E&A West. It was a chemical company. They made chemicals for water treatment. And so BRS put me through the training to get my hazardous goods certificate. So I then went on to drive tankers, and it was called ferric sulfate. It was like a brown sludgy liquid which they used for the treatment of cleaning water actually. So my runs then were out to water treatment works, and quite a lot of them were at near reservoirs out in the countryside, and it was quite nice actually, because it meant I didn't have to go through towns very often, and there were some nights out on that as well. So I used to go quite some distance, unload and stop for a night out and drive back again. Yeah, it was really good. I used to pick up sulfuric acid in Grimsby, so that was a return load. and I would pull in there and pull underneath the gantry. It was a gravity loading where it comes down from a big tank above, so I undo my lids at the top of the tank. I climb up there and undo the lids, and a big tube comes down into the tank, and it loads from the top into the tank. And I had to stand up there while that happened, because I had to use the dipstick and shout when I'd got enough in the tank. I made a mistake once and I couldn't remember what I had to go to on the dipstick, and I looked down into the tank and I thought, it looks okay actually, so I said, stop, stop, and I drove onto the weighbridge, and the man there, he said, well, you'd be alright if you was like a 38 tonner. He said, but you're not. I was a 31 tonner, and I got far too much on, so I had to go back round. They connected a hose up and took some of it back out. Oh dear. So yes, so I did the tankers for a while, and when I was on that job, I had a CB in the truck, and it was quite big at that time, because you know everybody is chattering away on Channel 19 to each other, and CBs were very good for finding directions, because quite often you could pick up a home-based CB and ask where this particular place was, and they would give you directions straight there. It was very good actually. Way before the sat-navs. I've never had a sat-nav, but anyway, so yes, talking to the home-based CBers, talking to other truckers all around me, and when they were overtaking or going the opposite way, if it got an aerial on the top, a twig, you know, they used to shout me up because they saw me in the cab, and they'd shout me up out of curiosity, you know, all on Channel 19, and they'd shout the name of the vehicle, the company you work for. So they would shout me up, are you on channel? So I'd say, yes, I am, hello. And then they would say, oh, I'm glad you're a woman. I was getting a bit worried because I'd seen all those net curtains in your cab. Well, I used to dress my cabs up, and I used to make them all pretty with pot plants and flowers and net curtains. And of course the driver saw all this and was a bit surprised actually, but oh yes, I wanted to make a feminine cab. We didn't use our own names on the CB, and I'm going to have to tell you how I got my name, because I was called Flying Fanny. Yes, I know. The drivers at BRS didn't like the way I was rushing about and getting on with the job. I didn't think I was rushing about, because I was just doing the job to the best of my ability. And it upset some of them a little bit, because I was dead keen, you know, because I was enjoying myself, and they were mainly older than me, and they just wanted a nice easy life, and they just wanted to drift along towards retirement. And I walked through the yard one day, and there was a little huddle of them stood around chattering together, and I just picked up a bit of the conversation, and one of them said, oh, here she comes, the Flying Fanny. And I was shocked actually, and I thought, I didn't say anything, but I heard it, and I thought, oh, that's very rude, and that's very sarcastic, and I was quite upset that that's what they called me. But then after getting over the surprise element, I thought, wow, that's a really good name, that, Flying Fanny. I'm going to adopt that as my CB handle. And so I was Flying Fanny. You know, you've seen my number plate in the cab. There it is. This is the second one actually, because I had it made with rather posh lettering. Ilona. And I got this as well. I made my flying fanny up. A number plate. There you are. Actually, I didn't put this in the cab, but later on I was going to truck shows, and I did use it for the truck shows because I was becoming quite well known on the CB and around lorry drivers talking about me, and I was doing articles for magazines, writing to magazines. In fact, I was writing for CB magazine. I actually had a page a month in CB magazine. So anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll pop over there to the table. I've got a few bits and bobs on there, and I'm trying not to make the videos too long. The last one was about 24 minutes, and I think it's a bit long really. But once I start talking about trucking, I can't stop because there's such a lot to get through. So I'm going to try and break it up into reasonable sized segments. So yes, I'm at VRS. I was there for 5 years, and I'll show you the pics. There's not many pics, but they are. My battery's going to run out. The tankers that I drove for BRS, that one there, the chemical tankers, my hazardous goods certificate, which I still got and I'm proud of. One of my BRS vehicles, Taunton Cider, that's it, Taunton. I don't know who that driver is. He's just a driver, so yeah. And I thought I'd put this one in here because I wrote to a ladies magazine, Chat magazine. I wanted a makeover because I was beginning to look a little bit rough. Always out on the road and not being able to get into facilities for ladies. So anyway, I went to London and I had a makeover for Chat magazine. There you are. Would you believe? That is me. I think this battery is about to stop, so let's go back quickly. I don't know how much notice I get, but yeah, so that's it. Video 4. We'll start again with number 5, and it's me, Queen, A Life After Money, talking about my trucking life. Bye.